Facebook is now vowing to ban content that praises white nationalism and white separatism on its platform starting next week. This effort coming after the social media giant has come under fire for not taking proper action against hate speech after the massacre in New Zealand. Joining us now on the phone is Deke Digital founder and CEO Dave Maney. So, Dave, this may seem like a good idea in theory, but this isn't the only hate speech on the site. How are they going to regulate this as a whole?
I don't know, David. There's no doubt that in a perfect world, Facebook wishes all of this stuff would go away. Silicon Valley social media sites are famous for trying to be platforms, not publishers, and therefore duck a lot of the responsibilities that publishers have to kind of watch and a lot of the rights they have too. And so you get into this thing where you are absolutely right. I was on the site just shortly before coming on with you today, and I noticed that the Nation of Islam, or followers of the Nation of Islam, have a site. And I can assure you that is black separatist content.
Right.
So how does Facebook win then here, Dave? Because they were criticized for not taking the video off fast enough after 50 people were killed in New Zealand. Now they're trying to do something about it. Now they're being criticized. So at what point do these social media companies seem like they're taking action, the right action?
I don't know that they do. I think I made a point on here before. The more of this crap that goes on, the more I think this is true. Facebook used to be like Cheers, where you'd show up and everybody knew your name and everybody was friendly, and now it's become a place where there's a bunch of drunks having a brawl every time you go in. And I think that this is just one more brick in the wall of making people say, this is not a platform or not a place that I like. It's not a place that's fun. It's not a place that's rewarding. It's a place where people get big sticks out and hit each other in the side of the head. I don't have privacy. This isn't a good place for me.
I don't know. I don't feel the least bit conflicted about this. I mean, can't Facebook, it's pretty clear if you see like white nationalism, what that looks like and that they ought to get rid of it. And they don't have to be perfect to get rid of things that are obviously bad. To exercise some editorial judgment here, get rid of egregious things. I mean, I just don't think we have to seek perfect balance.
I'm in the I'm very much from the place of the saying I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. That's where I come from. That's where I think Zuckerberg wanted to. He could come from that place. But you can't come from that place some of the time, because next it becomes, I'm not willing to talk about people who are into Second Amendment rights. And it's a slippery slope. Like, you're either in and for free speech or you're not. And I think the entire movement beyond it is crap.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I am a free speech advocate in terms of hate speech. You don't know what hate speech is because it depends on what one person's view is of what's hateful and what another person's view is of what's hateful. There are some clear things that you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be calling for violence. You shouldn't be doxing people and sharing their private information. And as Jack has been talking about, you should probably not be piling on people. But absent that, I think that more speech is better. You get to know who your enemies are. And just because you don't like something that somebody says doesn't mean that they don't have other good ideas or that they don't deserve some sort of a platform. So I am with Dave. I'm going to defend your right to say whatever you want to say. And I think that the best model for Silicon Valley is to just get out of the way and be really transparent with very clear things like violence and doxing.
Yeah, or pedophilia or egregious things like that. And there's no way you can come up with an algorithm that's going to cover all situations. And if anything, these companies have been slow when we point out that they've been biased against conservatives instead of dealing with it. So open it up. Say if something is illegal, they'll take prompt action. But otherwise, it's an open platform. It's like yelling from a corner of a street.
This is a business.
Nothing you can do out of it.
It's not a public space. It's a business. So we're talking about, your First Amendment rights. I mean, this company has a right to run its business as it sees fit. And if it doesn't want some of this garbage on its site, then it's free to make the rules.
Well, of course it is. But, Dave, the thing that bothers me is that they have these left-wing groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's got a great-sounding name, but, in fact, it's a left-wing ideological group. They ban perfectly legitimate people or consider them to practice hate speech, and that kind of makes you slip into censorship, doesn't it?
It does. And what was just said about it being a business and it ought to have the right to choose that, I can see that. Like, I kind of agree with that. But I would also say that at some point, if it becomes a ubiquitous platform, I mean, it's a weird intersection of free speech, free press, and the Justice Department's antitrust division, where you say, well, have you monopolized the public square?
And
Yeah,
I don't know whether
Yeah.
they have or haven't. I think the easiest thing for them to do would be to simply say, hey, we're not going to censor speech. Like, that's not our job.
Exactly. It's a bad business decision. I'm a shareholder of Facebook. I don't want them to make that censoring happen. I'd rather give you tools, which many of them have. You can mute people. You can mute conversations on Twitter, for example. You have the tools to not engage with the content you don't want to engage with. Or if you want to use your speech to counteract those ideas, which is what we should be doing, that's the correct way to combat bad speech, is with more speech. That's the tack that they should take, because it's a bad business model.
Yeah, you can't be half pregnant. You got to be one thing or the other. They might as well go for free speech and deal with egregious cases or illegal cases and leave it at that.
All right, good point to end on. Dave Maney, thank you very much.